Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio, and by now, you must know what that means. Come on, do I really have to tell you? Get involved in the chat and the comments and hit that like button. It's your show, not mine, so let's have it. Loads of stories to get through. Well, a few stories, I should say. There's a Declan Rice update, as you may have gathered from the thumbnail. There's also a story about the latest managerial rumours, reports, stories, whatever you want to term them, with Manchester United and our potential candidates. There's also a story about Robert Lewandowski and how he could be coming to Old Trafford. I use the word could. We had this the other night. Me and Joe were talking about it. It looks like there might be something going on there. I'll give you an update on all that stuff. So we'll tell you what. We'll start with Lewandowski, because the other night there was a rumour, a story, whatever you want to say, about him potentially coming to Manchester United. Manchester United were looking at him. He hadn't signed a new deal with Bayern Munich. There could be a deal to be made there. Now, there's lots of ifs and buts and maybes with any transfer, but especially one of this magnitude. You are talking about one of the best strikers in the world. He is. His goal-scoring record is ridiculous. It's phenomenal, and he's continued to score goals. He's 33 years old, and he's still absolutely smashing them in for fun. I think, let me just check. Yep, 42 goals so far this season. Is it? Yeah. No? Yeah. 42 goals. I thought it was the other way around. 42 goals in 35 games in all competitions. That doesn't even make sense. So he's obviously he's not waning. His powers aren't waning as he enters his mid-30s, but he is 33 years old. And we have this sort of trait at United of buying strikers past their best, shall we say. Edinson Cavani, Cristiano Ronaldo. And it's not always working out too well. The Cavani and Ronaldo debate is one for another time. But you do feel, or some people may feel, now is the time for us to go for strikers that are up and coming or at the peak rather than past the peak. The counter-argument, he's so good. He's scoring loads of goals. We should get him. Anyway, it doesn't matter if he signs a new deal with Bayern Munich. He's not going anywhere. He'll be staying at the Allianz Arena. But, is it called the Allianz? Has it changed its name? I can't remember. But the latest update is from Christian Falk. Now, I walked into the office earlier and I said, Christian Falk's done a tweet about Lewandowski. Producer Callum went, he's a fraud. So there is that argument. I like Christian Falk. We've had him on the channel. I think he's a good guy, but he has been wrong. He has, hasn't he? He said the Ralph Rangnick thing, he got wrong. He said about Ralph Rangnick coming to United, not true. And it was. And he had to hold his hands up and go, I got that one wrong. My source let me down. Now, he says, I'll read the exact tweet. Man United is interested in Lewandowski for summer if the negotiations between Lewandowski and Bayern for a new contract would fail. And he's put true tick. Now, his true, not trues have lost a little bit of their luster, but you may still put some weight behind it. He does know Bayern Munich. When I spoke to Christian Falk, when we had him on the Tier 1 Transfer podcast, he was literally at the Bayern Munich training ground. He was on his phone and going, look, there's Bayern Munich behind me training. So he's obviously in the club, but do you put a lot of weight behind what he says? I think there was the other one as well. He had a bit of a, not a spat, an argument with one of the United players. I can't remember, was it Maguire or Rashford? I can't remember, one or the other, where he'd said that there was a bit of a dressing room unrest, and they said no, there isn't, and he went back and forth. So it can happen that he gets things wrong. You might still say, okay, he's missed the Bayern Munich, like literally, I think that's his handle on Twitter. So, if anyone's going to know about what's going on at Bayern Munich, it would be him. Maybe he does get other things wrong. Maybe he's, not as reliable as he used to be. But would you trust him on this one? He's also quoting another journalist. It's not his story as such. It's someone else's story, and he's saying this is true. So, I've looked on the lad whose story is quoted. He's a chief reporter for Sport Bild. Doesn't tell me a lot. He covers Bayern Munich. His name's Toby Altschaffel. Make of that what you will. I don't know a lot about him. I usually like to know if the journalist is reliable or not, who's breaking a story. And if it's an English journalist, it's a lot easier because I know some of them. I know the history of what they've done. I'm not well up on Toby Altschaffel, if that's how you pronounce his name. So, who knows? But there's obviously the rumours have started. It may just be a case of Robert Lewandowski is letting these rumours leak because he wants a better deal at Bayern Munich. He wouldn't be the first player to use Manchester United as a bargaining tool to get a better contract offer. That's been happening since before football began. Yeah? Everyone does it. It's like, oh, United are in for me. Oh, right, okay, yeah, here's a new deal. Yeah. Do you remember a few years ago when Sergio Ramos wasn't signing for Real Madrid? I remember about 4 years later we did the same thing again. Who was like, oh yeah, United are in for me. United are like, actually, yeah, we probably are actually interested in him. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, here's a new deal. So it's nothing new. Make of it what you will. Also, hit that like button. Give us a like if you are watching. Smash a like, as they say. I'll get into some of the comments. Peter Jackson, who's the director of Lord of the Rings, of course, said, he's 33. We've done the memories. Now we have to look for the future. I like that. We've done the memories. Done all that. Look for the future. Manchester Maverick is one of my favourite names. Great player, but not the direction that we need to be moving to personally. Fair enough. There is a subscribe link in the chat. Make sure you are hitting that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel already. Jonas Loic says no. Simple. Liam Gaming says Lewandowski is top of world class. He is amazing. He is a goal-scoring machine. There's no doubt about that. The two questions are, will he come to United? That's the first one, because if he won't, then it doesn't matter how good or bad he is. It doesn't matter. It's just irrelevant. And secondly, can he still do it at United or in the Premier League week in, week out? Or is that gone now? Is it too late? Is he 33? We can't be having another situation like we've had with some of our other strikers. Let us know what you think. Ryan Jackson, wonder if he's related to Peter Jackson, says, Lua is sick, but it's pointless when we can't get the ball up to him. That is a good point. Regardless of whether you want Lewandowski or not, he does need service. And our service at times has been patchy. Although, to be fair, we have created a lot of chances. Not always, but I think since Ralph Rangnick's come in, we've created one of the highest amounts of chances created in anyone in the Premier League. We're just not finishing them. Apart from the second half in the derby when we didn't create any chances whatsoever, really, did we? I don't think we had any shot on target. But anyway, why am I mentioning the Manchester derby? I said that. I had enough of that. Santa Notch, big fan of the channel, big friend of the channel, says Lewandowski just sounds like a Woodward signing. Would it say a lot about Richard Arnold if the rumour is true? That's a good point. Richard Arnold's coming in. He's taking over from Ed Woodward. Looks like he's making the right noises, Richard Arnold, to try and be a bit more sort of fan-friendly, shall we say. Maybe have a little bit of a dialogue with the fans. Try and do things a little bit differently than Ed Woodward. Now, under Ed Woodward, we had big signings, didn't we? Big names, and they didn't always work out. You look at the likes of Falcao, for example, just wasn't up to it. Injuries have caught up with him a little bit. I don't think it was a case of injuries caught up with him, because after he left, he still had something in the tank. I think we got him at the wrong time. He was still recovering from an injury, and we were throwing him in, and he just wasn't quite up to it. Angel Di Maria is the obvious one. Massive signing. Didn't work out at all. Sebastian Schweinsteiger, one of the best midfielders in the world, but he was past his best, and by the time Jose Mourinho took over from Louis van Gaal, just didn't want him. So we have made these signings before where you look at it and you go, oh, that's an amazing name, but it's not worked out. So maybe there is an element of that. I think that's a good question there. We'll have to see what happens. So we'll keep you posted on whether Lewandowski is going to come to United, whether he doesn't sign a Bayern Munich contract. Let's not forget as well, if United don't make Champions League football, he ain't coming here. He's not going to play in the Europa League. He ain't. You're not going to spend the autumn of your career when you're one of the best players in the last decade playing in the Europa Conference or the Europa League. It's just not going to happen. So we need Champions League football to be able to attract the likes of Robert Lewandowski. If he was 21, 22, you could maybe get away with it. You can sign younger players and convince them, come, you get a load of money. We're on a rebuilding structure, rebuilding process. You can have a bit of it. People may look at it and go, well, Zlatan came. Zlatan came. He did. A, he was a little bit older than Lewandowski. B, he was part of a big summer sort of change where we brought in, Pogba and brought in Mourinho, and it was like a big overhaul. So he kind of bought into that. Would Robert Lewandowski do that? I'm not so sure. And also, I think if you look at where Zlatan was and where Robert Lewandowski is now, I think there's a slightly different level. Zlatan was, and is an elite striker, but I think Robert Lewandowski is arguably, the best striker in the world right now. I wouldn't have said that about Zlatan when he came to United. He's very good and I loved him, but he wasn't. I don't think he was the best striker on the planet. I think Robert Lewandowski is. So let us know what you think in the comments. Get involved. It's funny, though, because if Harry Kane scores against us, everyone will go, well, Kane's the best striker in the world. Well, is he? He's good. Is he the best striker in the world? The English press love to say stuff like that, don't they? It's like, oh, he's the best in the world because he's had a good game against Manchester City. Right, let's move on anyway. Now, this is a story about managers. Now, I've seen this a few places. I'll pick it up from, got it from the Times here. And this is about managerial candidates for Manchester United doing their homework, speaking to players in the dressing room. Now, there was talk a few months ago, wasn't there, that Mauricio Pochettino and Luke Shaw were still in conversation. Pochettino, of course, under a lot of pressure at Paris Saint-Germain, could be the next Manchester United manager. He's obviously on our list. And there's, rumours doing the rounds that perhaps he's had a word with Luke Shaw just to get the skinny on what's going down in the Old Trafford dressing room. I can tell you what's going down. I'm not in the Old Trafford dressing room. I can tell you what's happening, though. It's a mess. Erik ten Hag apparently has been doing something similar. He's been speaking to players. He's been asking players about the squad via third parties. So maybe he spoke to Van der Beek and said, Donny, what's going down over there? And Donny's gone, all right, well, I'm not there anymore. I'm at Goodison on loan. He said, well, can you ask someone there? You know what I mean? Speak to one of your boys. All right, yeah, let me find out. Maybe it's gone like that. Who knows? But these are the stories doing the rounds that managers are doing a little bit of homework and trying to find out what's going down in the Old Trafford dressing room, with the squad, with the players, with the team, all that jazz. Because all we keep hearing about stories from the players, or leaks, we should say, is that it's not a happy camp. Marcus Rashford isn't happy. Harry Maguire's not happy. Cristiano Ronaldo's not happy. Players apparently, falling out with each other. Cliques forming. Players not wanting to be it. Players wanting assurances about their future. Players not playing well, then questioning why they're not in the team and they're not playing well. It's a mess. Players, contracts running out. We know we're going to lose certain players. We know Cavani's going to go. Pogba's going to go. Jesse Lingard's going to go. I mean, you can hope that, at least one of them stays. And there's a lot of hope that Paul Pogba will. I don't see it happening, to be honest with you. So managers are doing their own work, trying to find out what's going down. And I shudder to think the response they're getting. Hit that like button. Let's get to 200 likes. Let me have a look here. What else I've got in the comments? Jordan Clark says, don't want anyone anymore over 30s. Face palm emoji. Fair enough. I understand that. Could you argue, though, I think that's a reference to Lewandowski, could you argue that if you get something like that because of that mentality, that could help? I don't know. I don't want to go backwards. But yeah, I understand it. Scrappy Doo says, defenses win titles. He's right. Our defensive record this season is shocking, isn't it? I think it's 38 goals we conceded in the Premier League. Still got 10 games left. It's unreal. It's horrible, that, isn't it? Derry O'Driscoll says, who else is enjoying a morning beer? Happy hour somewhere. Fair enough, Derry is on it. Serious Lee says, McTominay and 25 million for Rice. Eben Jose says, what about getting Rudiger? That's a good question, that. Antonio Rudiger is a player, and this sort of leads me on to my next story, because we're going to talk about Declan Rice, but you can sort of tie it in with Antonio Rudiger as well, because Chelsea are obviously in a little bit of trouble, aren't they? They've got the Roman Abramovic has had his assets seized. You saw that we had the story yesterday. I think it was Joe actually had it on as an addition to the news, because I did the news and then the story broke after I'd recorded the news, that the government had acted against Jose Mourinho and frozen his asset. Roman Abramovich, Jose Mourinho, got Jose Mourinho on the brain. Roman Abramovich, they'd frozen his assets, and that had left sort of Chelsea. He was unable to sell Chelsea at the minute. The deal was on hold. That was the latest. Now, there's also other sort of sides to this as well. The fact that I'll give you an update or a reminder of what was said. So it's Roman Abramovich sanction. All UK assets frozen. Chelsea can still operate under a special license, but sale now on hold. Club not allowed to sell any more tickets. Only season ticket holders can go to games for foreseeable future. So there's that element to it as well. I think they're on a budget of what they can spend. I think they have to spend £20,000 on the travel to European away games. I think that was around the amount that they've been told. That's for the players, obviously, to get to the games. But I think there was some flexibility around it, because it could affect their ability to get to the games, and they have to be able to get there. So there might be a little bit of leeway on there. Also says that Chelsea can't be sold at the moment. Club would have to apply for a new license to be sold. So they're in a bit of the doghouse. Doesn't look like they can buy or sell any players either at the minute, because everything's on hold. So there's talk, okay, well, if that's the case, there's two sort of connections there to Manchester United. One is Antonio Rudiger. Now, I'll talk about Antonio Rudiger briefly. There's a story that's doing the rounds. I think this was last night. Darren Lewis had it. It said Chelsea's Premier League rivals are discreetly exploring, not doing it very discreetly, it's all over the papers, whether they can approach Antonio Rudiger now instead of waiting until the end of the season. The dramatic freezing of Abramovic's assets means the Champions League holders cannot offer any new contracts to players or staff. So he's out of contract at the end of the season. He's 29 years old. Looks like a couple of clubs could be interested in him. We have been linked with him. It goes on to say there, as revealed earlier this month, Manchester United are keen to take Rudiger to Old Trafford with his leadership and winning mentality sorely lacking in the Reds' defence. So Rudiger is one player who could potentially head to United on the back of what's happened at Chelsea. He was already linked with us, don't forget. And now it seems that sort of link has increased, or the chances of that link have increased because of what's going on. I mean, yeah, possibly, maybe. I don't know. I'm a bit sceptical as to what's going to happen with Chelsea. I think there might be some sort of way they get out of it, or something changes. Seems like there might be some loopholes. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being cynical. I just feel like no matter what with Chelsea, they always seem to end up smelling the roses, don't they? Do you remember when they had that transfer ban and they went out and they were still able to sign, was it Kovacic and Pulisic? Yeah, they were on a transfer ban and they had like 39 players they brought in from they'd already had out on loan. Yeah, I mean, I was a bit like, oh, really? Is this the beginning of the end, or is this just another sort of summer they've got to deal with that they'll somehow manage? Singh says, bring Yannick Kessie for free, Rice to overpriced, move the low on, bring in James Savania. Thoughts? Send Maguire to Juve for delay, cut our loss. It's like a Frank Bruno tweet. That was all in there, wasn't it? Darren Cox even says 5 cents of this for Chelsea's travelling fund. He's put a super chat in. No, I'm not going to. We won't be giving any Chelsea 5 cents of that. Tim Crampton says, hi, Jay, lad. Just been in a meeting, so just jumped in. Where would a defeat against Spurs leave us going forward? Doomed in terms of top 4. Not happening. We lose to Spurs, forget top 4. Even if we win, it's ropey. I don't like the look of Arsenal in a minute. So we'll see. But yeah, if we lose to Spurs, you can forget about top 4. And then all your eggs are in the Champions League basket, which is a scary thought. Derry O'Driscoll says, give us a dance, Jay. Not happening. I know Derry's already been drinking. You can tell if he wants me to dance for him. You don't want to see my dad dancing. Declan Rice, anyway. So that's the other story when it comes to Chelsea. Chelsea. So there's a couple of stories doing the rounds that we could have a free run. I think the Evening News have had it and a few other papers as well. A free run at Declan Rice. Because Chelsea, who were actually probably favourites to sign him, won't be able to sign him now. And it looks like he's going to go in the summer. Now, there's lots of ifs and buts of any transfer. The big sort of question with Declan Rice is, what's the price tag going to be? There was rumours of it being around 100 million, even upwards of 100 million. Seems excessive. He's a very, very good player. Would we have to pay that? Would we be able to pay that even? Also, no Champions League football. Is he going to come to a club with no Champions League football? If we don't have Champions League football, I know at the moment that isn't the case, but it's not guaranteed. So lots of ifs and buts and maybes, but Chelsea's sanctions looks like it could help Manchester United move forward for Declan Rice and also help us perhaps in the hunt for Antonio Rudiger. So it sounds like, Chelsea's misery is our happiness, if that's the right term. I mean, I don't particularly feel sorry for Chelsea. I think, like the chance has all the money you took from that crook. You reap what you sow almost. And there was always some sort of question marks about Abramovic's buying of Chelsea, why he was doing it, where the money was coming from and all that jazz. So I'm not exactly sympathetic. In fact, I'm not sympathetic to any club with horrible owners because we've got horrible owners as well. I know it's for different reasons, but I don't see anyone, there was no one sort of feeling sorry for us when the Glazers left us in a load of debt. So, I am that bitter and petty. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But there could be a little bit of who knows, maybe there is a sort of people going to pick the bones of the Chelsea squad who haven't signed new deals. Maybe Chelsea do drop out of the race for all signings. Maybe they sort things out. Maybe they do a deal with the government and somehow they end up smelling the roses like they often tend to do. Who knows? I'm going to wrap it up there. We're back later on with The Brew. I think we've got Carl Anka, I think, is coming in from the Athletics. So make sure you're checking that out. Also, if you've not done it already, go and have a look at the preview for the Spurs game. We'll be here for the Spurs game tomorrow. I think you've got Joe. I think you've got Ronaldo. And I think you've got someone else as well. You'll also get a reaction from Howson and McCullough and everyone else as well. So make sure you're checking out. If you're not doing, hit subscribe and check out paddockmerch.com and check out the members section. I've been Jay Myatt. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.